An absolutely horrific thing has taken place. The murder of a Democratic state representative, Melissa Hortman, and the attempted assassination of Democratic Senator John Hoffman in Minnesota. I got several clips here I'm going to play. I'm going to read a little bit from an ABC article. But I want to very briefly talk about the domestic terrorism that is at play here that was entirely predictable. And I also want to go back to the same drum that I beat all the time about not giving these people the benefit of the doubt. Stop assuming that Republicans, and I don't know that there's many of you out in the audience, but just for those of you that are out there who are like, oh, they just have a different idea about how to run the country. That's not where we are anymore. We haven't been there in a long time. Remember it was CPAC or some political conference where they had the banner that said, we are all domestic terrorists? When these freaks tell you who they are, why not believe them? This is from ABC. Here's the headline. Minnesota lawmaker and husband shot dead, another lawmaker and wife wounded in targeted attack. A manhunt is underway for the gunman, officials say. By the way, nothing from Donald Trump at this point. All he's out there doing is misspelling the word parade in True Social posts. Nothing from a man who himself was targeted by assassination. Nothing to say about two Democrats and their families targeted by someone impersonating a cop. So while all the people hand-wring and what's the big deal about cops wearing masks and not having name badges on and refusing to identify themselves, this is why. And on the point of not giving these people the benefit of the doubt, about people telling you that you're overreacting. Oh, you're just being it's hyperbole. You're just being exaggerative. This is not what's really happening. Come on. Yesterday, Tim Walz was on a stage talking about where we are in American politics today, and he said this thing that now carries more weight than it ever could have in the wake of these two horrific attacks against Democrats by some unhinged gunman impersonating a cop with a manifesto that they've found. And we'll get to all of that. But watch this from Tim Walz yesterday.
Well, I've been saying it, and I am not prone to hyperbole. I am prone to popping off a little bit. I know that. But, I got to see the facts. I got to do all this. I believed all along we were marching towards authoritarianism, and people were telling me in December, you're overreacting, and I said the road to authoritarianism is littered with people telling you you're overreacting.
Absolutely.
And it has just been the steady state. I mean, this is so predictable. So I would say I think we're in a dangerous time. I think we're seeing it manifest itself.
The road to authoritarianism is littered with people telling you you're overreacting. Do not let people tell you, oh, you're just overreacting. As tanks roll through the streets of our nation's capital, my hometown, not my hometown, but the place I live. This is from the ABC article. A Minnesota state representative and her husband were shot and killed, and a Minnesota state senator and his wife were shot and wounded in a, quote, act of targeted political violence, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said. This is exactly what he said about it. And then we'll move on.
We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota. My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa and her husband Mark, were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Our state lost a great leader, and I lost the dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many. Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents. My prayers also go out to State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were each shot multiple times. The Hoffmans are out of surgery at this time and receiving care, and we are cautiously optimistic they will survive this assassination attempt.
Political assassination at the hands of someone who clearly had an axe to grind, who clearly was on a mission, again, with a manifesto and a believable yet fake police car. I mean, we think it's fake. Maybe it's real. Who knows at this point? Who knows? Back to the article for one sentence. A manhunt is now underway for the gunman, and we will get to that. We'll get to that problematic statement in just a minute. I want to play 3 clips for you from the police who are giving us more details about what is taking place at the most recent press conference. And it is alarming to say the least. This first one is the cop kind of given the lay of the land of exactly how these crimes were perpetrated. By the way, these lawmakers aren't next door neighbors. This was a planned, premeditated thing. They live like 8 or 10 miles apart. And the gunman, the assassin, the Republican, we're going to find out. I don't know for sure, but we're going to find out. Come on. Again, no benefit of the doubt. Stop saying we're overreacting. Had to drive from one place to the next, where one lawmaker, Melissa Hortman, and her husband are now dead. And the senator and his wife had just gotten out of surgery, apparently, and they are looking like they're going to survive.
So, can you say it one more time? So, you were just going to proactively check on Speaker Emeritus Hortman, and then police there encountered the gunman, or someone with a gun, and exchanged gunfire. Can you just go over that one more time, please?
I can. Good morning, Police Chief Mark Bruley, Brooklyn Park Police Department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Hortman's house, and it was proactively or not. The circumstances that unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, the representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Was this an actual police officer or an impersonating police officer?
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
So, Chief Burley, janitorial pair 11, the person not only was wearing a badge posing as a police officer, when they approached their victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is, what kind of vehicle and how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
This is a problem. I mean, beyond the obvious, beyond the self-evident that we have political assassinations of Democrats now taking place, while Donald Trump does his fascist parade, no message from the President of the United States that political violence will not be tolerated. Of course not. Because he initiates political violence. He encourages political violence. He incites political violence. And then when it comes his way, oh, what world do we live in? Fight, fight, fight. I don't think that's a radical opinion, that Donald Trump is the cause of much of the consternation relative to political violence in this country. He predicates it. He encourages it. He wants it. He yearns for the chaos. I've had politicians cancel interviews with me because I have said this in tweets. That's too dangerous. That's too radical. What? We can't act like Donald Trump is a problem. Weaklings. This next clip is explaining how it happened. Not just that they now have the car that the person was in. Not just that they have the manifesto, which we're going to get to. But how they believe it happened based on probably Ring camera footage and other investigatory items that we're getting a glimpse into what took place here.
How much do you know about if the person that was impersonating an officer who allegedly shot these people, did they knock on the door and people came to the door, or the person break into the home?
Yeah, it was knocking on the door and asking the person to come out, absolutely impersonating a police officer.
Do you all have a suspect's car?
We do have the suspect's car. Suspect is on foot. That is what the large-scale search is currently going on. I just remind residents of Brooklyn Park, I know it's been a long time, but those that are in the grid that we gave the alert out to continue to shelter in place. We're also reminding them that if somebody comes to the door and they knock on the door and claiming to be a police officer, please do a couple of things. One, call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our officers in Brooklyn Park that they are not to approach anybody by themselves. They're to approach in pairs, meaning 2 officers. So if there's only 1 officer outside the door, do not answer the door and call 911. If it's a Brooklyn Park police officer or any of our partners that are assisting, they will come in pairs of 2 or more.
In today's America, where cops are concealing their identities, wearing masks, full gaiters around their face to conceal who they are, not giving you their name and badge number, not having name tapes or any indicators of who they are, sometimes not even having the agency for which they work, this is a problem. This is why it's a requirement for police to give you the information about who exactly they are. And the suspect is on foot. Which gets us almost to the manhunt that's underway. But before I get there, I want to play this for you, that these are people who are doing things in a premeditated fashion, who are thinking deeply about what they want to accomplish and how they want to accomplish it. Because when you sit down and you scrawl out a manifesto, whether that be at your computer or your phone or just handwriting it, that's premeditation. Here's that same cop talking about this.
Our community helping us with this, so it's very complex and working on it. What I will tell you, when we did a search of the vehicle, there wasn't a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. We immediately made alerts to the state who took action on alerting them and providing security where necessary, and that's about, I'll stop there.
Chief, thank you very much.
Suspect is not in custody at this time. We have a political assassin on the loose, armed, dangerous. And a manhunt is underway. 2 sentences from the ABC article, and let's talk about this. The 2 shooting locations were about 8 miles away from each other in Champlin and Brooklyn Park, just north of Minneapolis. The FBI is helping with the manhunt. 2 sources familiar with the matter told ABC that's a problem. Because when you hear the words the FBI is assisting, what you need to replace FBI with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, 2 anti-democratic conspiracy theorists who attempted to overthrow the United States government, or at the very least were in support of what took place on January 6th and made excuses for it after the fact. They are assisting in the manhunt of the assassin of a Democrat. How much confidence does that inspire in you? Are you filled to the brim? Donald Trump not only does not care that this happened, I'm sure he delights in it. I'm sure they delight in it. We are being targeted as Democrats. The fascist regime will see all opposition squelched. They're arresting seated United States senators putting them on their face and cuffing them and removing them from the press conferences of the fascist Barbie, Christino. They are arresting Democratic mayors who are there legally to inspect facilities in their jurisdiction. They are bringing charges and indictments against sitting United States congressmen for their oversight role, their constitutionally mandated oversight role. And now they're killing Democrats in their doorsteps of their homes. Don't tell me I'm fucking overreacting. Don't tell me I should give these ghouls the benefit of the doubt. They are what they say they are, domestic terrorists. I solicit your participation in this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. We need a rally, folks. Not we need a rally, we need to rally. We need to rise up. We need to get vocal. The more we shrink away, the more power they will never relinquish. Follow me on social media. If you're there, we can talk about this there. We need connection in this moment. I'm going to go. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.